Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here with the moment you've all been waiting for. Multi-region MMO Pokemon game, codename Seed. Seed is a prototyping project for a next-generation online playable game by multiple people, set in a region that connects Hoenn and Sinnoh. The objective is for the protagonist to be able to walk from Sinnoh to Hoenn, and it includes Kitakami. So we can take a look at the map. And when I saw this one, I was thinking like, yeah, there's a lot of empty space here. But then I thought, oh, if Kitakami's in, then that means, boom, we can put it right here. And looking at this map, Hoenn is rotated sideways. Because like all the stuff is down here instead of over to the right. So that's like how Hoenn is actually placed in the Pokemon world. So yeah, it actually connects pretty closely. You surf on over, boom, you're right inside of Kanto and Johto, or Johto and Kanto, and then this seems like a weird stretch, just have nothing, and then Sinnoh has always been Hokkaido, but then you just put in Kitakami here, and it probably rotates like Hoenn, and then it fits, and that works, and then off of this image, oh yeah, there it is, there's Kitakami, let's go. And then the concept art, it's like, wait... how can it be this big? Because like we have now dozens of cities. If we're just talking like a multi-region Pokemon game chaining everything together, I can understand like some smaller things. Actually, that's Kitakami, isn't it? With like the little festival area. So they tie in that. It seems like it's mostly going to be wilderness, and maybe they space it out a bit or something. Like the scope. If they do it, incredible, cool. That's all we need. Outside of that, like, I don't know how. And then the cities are this big, and we're already struggling with Pokemon Legends ZA for just Lumiose City. But if even then, like, okay, let's say the average city is, like, even a quarter of Lumiose, or, like, half or something, even if they try to go for a big project. Because if we look at the first picture, bottom right, that's Vermilion City and the SSN. And that looks developed and wonderful. At least that's my interpretation. Because, like, yeah, you got the gym kind of over on the left, and then you got the docks over there. That has to be Vermilion City. Like, so that's just a little snippet of Kanto, and that doesn't even include the big cities. So that's cool. Then I guess bottom left is Kitakami, because it has, like, that more old-school Japanese town. And you got a nice little river running through it, and then just all this exploration, which also has very Kitakami feel, because you come in on, like, that little road off of the bus stop. So like you just kind of expand that out, and then you head north to Hokkaido, and all of that tracks. And then again we have like the rest of Kitakami, and that's before we even get into Sinnoh and the breadth that is Sinnoh. This has to be like a PC game, and I don't even know how Pokemon launches that, or like what the plan is, but also can't, like, I guess it can work because there's Nintendo Switch ports that have like 80 gigabytes, 90 gigabytes, and if they don't go for like always open world where they don't have to load in the entire region, they find like an interesting way to like mesh it or have like only certain parts loaded in and stuff. I guess it's doable, but we need like a Pokemon PC game. It's going to be an MMO, especially for online connectivity. But like all this, and like, yeah, you just get to have a huge wilderness spot. The Kitakami's there. Maybe they grow out the town. Maybe they add like a little bit of stuff on the sides and stuff. It isn't just the DLC Kitakami. And then again, like, I would have been happy if Pokemon Legends Arceus wasn't Pokemon Legends. That's just a shit series that has actually ruined Pokemon, confirmed by all these leaks. Watch my other videos. But then, like, oh, Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl should have just been the first open-world Pokemon game for the Sinnoh remake, and then that just kind of, like, hits everything on the wish list. It's like, we want an open-world Pokemon game for full exploration, and I can do anything in any order with any exploration. Sick, with the Underground, and also Sinnoh remakes. Wrap it up, boys. We're done. Greatest Pokemon game ever. We don't even need anything for like 3 years now. Game Freak can cook. So, like, that's just a quarter of the game. Less than a quarter of the game. Like, an open world Sinnoh is a 20... Not 20th. A fifth of the game. 20% of the game. And then other exploration stuff. And then we finally get, like, not only dual region, not only Johto remake, but finally revisiting multi-region Pokemon game and all of that fun stuff. Explicitly confirmed MMO set in all the Japanese regions. Neat. And that's how they tie in Kitakami into that. But then I'm just thinking, like, time frame. 2028, with all the weird delays and stuff, potentially 2029 release. I feel like like, this makes me feel like an old man at this point. And when you've been following Pokemon for so long, that now we're getting into 2028, and they expect me to still be playing Pokemon. They expect all the OGs to be playing Pokemon. Like, Pokemon Go in 2016 made sense to bring, like, the millennials back in. We got people in, like, their late 20s and stuff. And now, like, people have families. I don't know how many more people have, like, 3 years in them to hold on for the MMO they've always wanted. And then, like, how all of this stuff is going to be accomplished by Game Freak. Like, that's the only weird part of it to me. Like, it's so late in the game for this one. And then idiots go, oh, but Pokemon's a children's game. No, Game Freak shifted that a long time ago. Like, that design philosophy got dropped after Generation 5 bombed. And they went, wait, we need to bring in all the old fans back. Quick, put in the Kanto starters into Pokemon X and Y and we'll figure out the rest. And Pokemon Let's Go, in interviews, has been stated to be as much for existing, established, old, adult Pokemon fans as it is for kids and stuff. Pokemon Let's Go was that philosophy, and they've only carried it more, especially because Pokemon Go did just, like, surpass all the expectations, which is why the game kind of failed, because, like, oh, 100 million concurrents, or, like, just 100 million players overnight. Niantic wasn't ready for that, so they had to break their game because it didn't work anymore. And then all kinds of other weird stuff. That's because that's, like, every person that has ever played Pokemon from 1997 to 2016 came together for that Pokemon adventure. And now I'm thinking, like, this kind of has the same thing. If you're going to be remaking the first 4 generations of Pokemon, this is not a kids game. Especially if you're making an MMO, because that's generally older audience. And, like, yeah, I guess people playing World of Warcraft the entire time, they're going well into their 40s now. But, like, this on Pokemon, after all the failings and after all, like, the betrayal with the Legends series and all these other, like, issues that they've had, like, I don't know where the dude that grew up with Pokemon is still gonna be a fan in 3 years. I'm down with it, but it feels like fine, just enough, like, probably more than enough, but still too late. It doesn't matter if you have enough. If you're late, you missed that bus, it's over. Especially nowadays in, like, the social media online era, you don't get second chances. You need to be good. Like, you need to launch strong. You need to be good. You need to have it all. And if you don't, it's a bad time. And with the current toxic social media landscape, you have one chance. If you blow it, you never come back, or at least almost never come back. And there's not really a lot of true success stories. People say No Man's Sky, but No Man's Sky is, like, still well under its launch. It lost, like, 70% of the players, and they never came back no matter how much it changed. They were able to, like, retain a passionate core audience with a admittedly good game, but I'm never playing No Man's Sky again. I got burned too hard, even though I can respect that it's in a good spot now. Same thing happened with my favorite game, New World. Or, like, my favorite MMO of all time is New World. Almost 1 million concurrent players, and then none, like, we didn't even get 10% of those people to come back for a tournament. That makes me really sad. So it has me on this with Pokemon, where it's like there's been so many chances to bring people back that have completely failed. We needed Pokemon Legends ZA to be Pokemon X and Y 2.0. That should, like, Game Freak has no planning, it seems. And that also goes from, like, all the weird things from the leaks and, like, the internal memos and documents we're getting. Oh no, this is new. Shigeru Omori is also out as main director, and then allegedly Junichi Masuda was banned from directing Pokemon games. The era of Masuda's absolute dominance. Oh my god, it's even crazier. So, I mean, I guess this kind of, like, stacks up in the right way that, like, there's so many turmoils and troubles, and, like, Masuda getting outed, and now he's just the creative fellow for the Pokemon company, because even though, like, an OG isn't allowed in Game Freak anymore with all these new things, the mismanagement of their budgeting, just everything going wrong. Oh yeah, Game Freak's poor planning and tunneling on the Legends series to not use ZA as, like, a way to bring back people into Pokemon, because X and Y was so incredibly successful and brought back the OG Pokemon fans that if we're going back to Kalos, there is no better time than to just make Z version. Give the Z version everyone thought was going to happen. Instead we got Oras, that's fine. and you hit them with that on Switch, and we go back to Kalos, not Lumio City. And now you have your audience that's back into Pokemon, and then they're ready for everything. They're like, oh, yeah, this isn't the new generation. I'll go from ZA to the new generation. Hopefully it's better than Pokemon Sun and Moon. And then it is, and now you have tens of millions of active players ready for the MMO, especially with Generation 10 being the procedurally generated Pokemon game. But instead, Game Freak has decided to entirely kill off the franchise, at least from like the game's perspective, or maybe they're just too complacent with the merchandise and all the TCG crypto grifting. Who knows? And they've also done nothing to support competitive. They need to ban all the cheaters like WolfGlick to make Pokemon VGC grow more than it ever has. Instead, currently, VGC is the smallest it's ever been, at least in the 3D era. No one cares about competitive Pokemon. Pokemon Champions is arriving too late and probably too little with like not enough game features and customization. Not copyright striking Pokemon Showdown and taking them down has also done incredible harm to competitive Pokemon and integrity. So by not doing any of that stuff, like no one cares about Pokemon Champions, no one cares about Pokemon Legends ZA, you have no Pokemon fans left. Oh wait, this is the thing everyone wanted? 2029? I hope Pocket Pair sees this and makes a Pal World MMO before then, because it's like, yeah, Pal World fully releasing in 2026, we play that for 2 years, and then now we actually have like the full, giant, massive multiplayer game for Pal World. Please? Let's just do all that, and then Animo's happening, I'm super hyped for that. So, like, yeah, you lost, Game Freak. Good job. And I don't see this being the renaissance for Pokemon for, like, a younger audience, where, like, all of a sudden we get a wave of, like, teenagers and, oh god, Generation Alpha. That's like, yeah, this is the game where this becomes their Fortnite. Okay, that kind of has a chance. But again, I think, like, something like this relies on the older fan base. I can't imagine a world where millennials have as much hype for a Pokemon MMO and like a multi-region game, something we've wanted our entire lives, as there was for Pokemon Go, because that's like 12, 13 years after Pokemon Go. The 2003, like Ruby and Sapphire to Pokemon Go is from Pokemon Go to the MMO. Nah. So yeah, like, it's mostly that. It's mostly like timing and development schedule and all of this other stuff that means I can't really get excited about breaking this down. And it's mostly just about the hype and the confirmation where it's like, this drops, it's happening, that's the Game Freak surprise factor. Unfortunately, Game Freak doesn't have that anymore. All the megas from ZA are complete abominations, like, they can't make designs anymore. I'm excited for the concept of Generation 10, except for the globalist eco-communism, but then that also has me worried, like, oh, that means new Pokemon designs. Oh no. So, like, outside of that, it's like, jeez. So it's like, yay, this exists. And even, it's not like, oh, the leak spoiled it for me, or the leak ruined it. Nah, I don't know if I'd be hype enough for the 2028 Pokemon Presents to be like MMO later this year, or whatever. Ugh. No, that actually feels worse, and like, oh, cool thing. Outside of that, like, trying to piece the map together, but this already does it. Because, like, the interesting thing is Cerebi's Poke Earth. We found evidence of the Cerebi Poke Earth map being in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, and then it got confirmed. To this day, it blows my mind that something created for Cerebi made it into the games, regardless why. So yeah, like, and that also goes to, like, we're in this weird pipeline and development schedule and all these internals about Game Freak, when back in the day, which 2014 counts, dear god, some Game Freak designer was just looked up the Pokemon map and grabbed it off of Cerebi and was just like, yeah, that looks good, and just slapped it in there. Even though, like, based on the real world, this doesn't really work. It was just trying to, like, fit in all the other regions and all the spin-off stuff and, like, try to build Poke Earth. It would actually be cool if the Orange Islands make it into the MMO as well. Yeah, Hokkaido's up north. Either way, it's actually, like, a weird soft canon. And then there's this, but this is also just kind of like showing the movies, and actually, yeah, Hoenn's kind of tilty. So that actually fits in. And then some amount of C or something, just kind of like make it all fit into one image instead of having like a weird proportional map. And then this is off to the north, not off to the east, because Hokkaido. And then we can see the terrain and how it all mixes in. So like that kind of tracks and has accuracy. This is in the games, but doesn't really count. and then you slide in Kitakami and like crop it, rotate it, squeeze it in there, and like, oh, neat. They made it work. These concepts are cool. I don't understand, like, how does Game Freak get that scope if they're struggling with Lumio City? But sure, cool. Pokemon MMO news. I don't know. It's like, hopefully you're still alive by then. If despite what I said, you're excited about this game and in your 30s, cut sugar from your diet, artificial dyes, processed food, and probably a good idea to get a colonoscopy just to give the highest chance that you make it. Do some push-ups and a mile, not a mile a day is kind of a lot for a lot of people, but go out and walk a bit, do a couple blocks, keep your heart safe, keep your butt safe, and then maybe you're gonna make it to this. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Hope you all have a nice day. Thank you very much for watching.